Attention pro athletes. Want to secure your financial legacy and thrive off the field? Oakbridge Wealth Management, led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, is your dedicated financial planning ally. But don't take it from me. Take it from the Dallas Cowboys' Tyler Biadasz. He says, Chris set goals financially and has been incredibly impactful in my journey in the NFL. Experience our customized, comprehensive approach, trusted by top NFL players. Don't leave your financial success to chance. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, and let Oakbridge Wealth Management guide you across the goal line.
First sheet again, big opening, pass 5, pass 10, Vermont's a man, and he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards out the territory.
Welcome back to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how you doing today?
I mean, every day with you, Matt Perkins, is a beautiful day. Excited to dive into the art world. Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time there, so I'm pretty excited to compare myself to some pictures of the other Hebrew Hammer from back in the day, the leader of the Maccabees. We'll have to Judah Maccabee. We'll have to figure out if it works at some point. But we have a professional here who could make it happen.
Yes, we do. We have the man behind Art But Make It Sports, the single best internet account that you should be following, LJ Rader, who is taking a little bit of time out of his busy posting schedule and reading schedule, I'm sure, to hang out with us and talk about what he does. So, LJ, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, busy posting schedule, busy actual job schedule. This is very much a hobby, but has now gotten a little out of control. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you guys.
Before we get into it, want to remind you guys that we are presented by betonline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at betonline.ag, especially with football season right around the corner and MLB pennant races in full swing. There's no better place to be anywhere in the world than BetOnline to place your wagers on any of the sports that you love. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device today to sign up and receive a 50% welcome bonus using our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.
But what makes it out of control? Because as I go through your social media and your Instagram, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite. Let's talk about this one. And then 2 posts later, I'm like, wait, this is my favorite. Let's talk about this. So how does it get out of control? Because it's such a passion?
Yeah, more it was just like originally kind of just posting into the ether, and the only people that were following were like my mom and her friends and like 3 other people. And it was like that for a decent chunk of time. But now every day I wake up and people are like, how come you didn't post about this? And I was like, I was sleeping. Like it happened at like 1 a.m. East Coast time. Like I have an actual job and like a life. And yeah, like a lot of people obviously know about the account now. So it's just constant getting tagged in things and getting requests. And I mean, it's great. I'm not complaining, but it's gotten out of control in a way. So,
well, especially I imagine right now, because I think I saw you post online that soccer naturally lends itself to a lot of really good comparisons. And with the Women's World Cup going on right now, there have been a bevy of those I've noticed on your feed. But those happen very late at night for those of us in the U.S.
Yeah, a lot of those have been after the fact. See, it's a lot more fun doing posts around things that just happened, right? If I'm watching like NBA Finals, I think is the best example of that, especially because it's pretty international, right? Basketball's loved by everybody. I mean, soccer, same sort of way. But if you can post something within a few minutes of it happening, and you're injecting it into the conversation that you know people are having on the timeline, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. Part of what kind of sucks now is obviously like everything that's going on with Twitter and all the various things that probably don't make it the most exciting or great place to be anymore. but it's like being around other people that are watching that event and sort of putting your take in is a lot of fun. But I mean, the Women's World Cup is great. There've been a few games, the ones that start at like 6 a.m. that I'll be up for and can do some stuff in real time around.
So LJ, you grew up in Westchester, New York.
I did, yeah.
Okay, so did I. So give me like a young, like, how did you? First off, give me your background, but also like, how does one? I mean, was art just something that you fell in love with?
Yeah, so always just been a fan of art and museums. Always been a big time sports fan as well. I work in sports. I and I had tried to play for as long as possible, but being a fellow Jew from Westchester, not many of us make it to the college football ranks. And yeah, I guess I tend to see things from a sports lens. And so going to museums where some people see just the painting and maybe you're examining the brush strokes or the deeper meaning that the artist might have had when they made it. Look at it and see something sports related. Just kind of like I said when I first started the account, there was really nobody following it, and just had posted a few things on my personal account and had friends say, "Oh, you should make it its own thing." So kind of just did and started to run with it. But yeah.
What are you, a Bradcliffe Bear?
I'm a John Jay. I guess I can't say the former name of our team because it got changed. But we are I think we're like the Wolf Pack now.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, yes.
It should be the John Jay. It should be the John Jay Justice because that's an awesome name. And I think they dropped the ball on that.
And a lot of good double entendre there with that.
Yeah. But yeah, where are you from?
I was an Edgemont Panther.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So you grew up doing kind of both. To me, is really interesting because I think art is beautiful, but I just look at it and go, oh wow, this is pretty. You literally you're an artist in a way. Like you go to museums, you love that. You grew up sports. Hit us with some of your favorite teams.
I am a diehard Knicks fan, a Giants fan, a Yankees fan, but like just a baseball fan in general. I like the Predators. Go to a bunch of Liberty games, and then a Vanderbilt sports fan, but I don't want to admit to that.
Well, no, that's okay. I live in Nashville. My wife is a Vandy alum, and we have Vandy season tickets to football, basketball, and baseball. So
you're gonna sit on the concrete on that side of the end zone that's not done yet.
Our tickets, luckily, are not there this year. We've got better seats this year than we used to. But yeah, it's always an interesting time at the Vanderbilt football game because it's in a way it's a home game for the teams that are playing at Vanderbilt. But as a season ticket holder, it's been one of my most profitable endeavors because I can pay for my entire season ticket, usually with one Georgia game or one Florida game. Yeah. So if I go to 5 of the 7 home games, I'm making money. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It used to be fun going to games, and you're not going to watch the Vanderbilt team. You're watching, Tebow and Percy Harvin come through, and that's what made him fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience than the rest of the SEC. I'll tell you.
Sounds like you should be a Jets fan and Mets fan, like just having tickets and selling them, and not. Well, you at least were making money. I don't think you're going to make much money. Maybe at the Jets this year, but who knows? There must be some. I mean, when you look at art, there must be some pretty comical art that's out there. Have you ever thought about how funny? New York sports teams aren't doing so hot lately. Do you ever come up with some comedy stuff that's mixed in with some of the Jet stuff that you see? Yeah, what's the butt fumble look like?
I'll have to send you. I don't even know if I did one with the butt fumble, but there was. So early on, it was right now there are comparisons, right? You take one image next to the other. Just started to realize that's what resonated with people. But early on, it was just taking paintings and then using a tool to caption them on top of the painting. And there was one of a wounded Civil War soldier, and he had gangrene. and I did some caption tying, gangrene to gangrene, and they're like, "Oh, you have gangrene." He's like, "No, I'm just a Jets fan or something." And he's like bleeding out of his leg. But yeah, the Jets are definitely if I ever go back to doing the captions, are definitely fodder for fun of. Although yeah, maybe this year they'll be good. I don't know.
So, with talking about the Jets, what do you think is or have you found any specific teams that are particularly memeable, for lack of a better term, that particularly lend themselves to these comparisons that you find yourself doing over and over again?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's a little less about the teams and more about the photographers that cover certain teams. Like Joe Murphy, for example, is the photographer that covers the Grizzlies, and he's incredible. There's like the shot of Russell Westbrook when he's like lying on the ground, like flexing, and it was the overhead shot that he had grabbed of him. And yeah, his work really lends itself well to comparisons. Lindsey Wasson, who covers the Mariners, has been taking some unreal shots this season. So I think a lot of it has to do with kind of who's behind the camera for some of these teams. As opposed, I mean, in any given day, any team or any player is going to end up doing something interesting. But if somebody can properly capture that, I think it's really helpful as well.
So I read a couple articles. Walk me through like a post. Like you see a picture. Is it in a paper? Is it on TV? Like how are you finding the pictures? Do you have to like? Is it copyrighted? Like do you have to call people to get it? Like what's that process? And then you also said that you have like this huge binder of thousands, maybe 7,000 pictures. But in your database of your brain, you must have a ton of pictures. How on earth do you remember all this stuff?
Yeah, so for the sports image itself, I could be watching a game, and usually it's like the bigger events, like NBA Finals or a Women's World Cup game, where that's the game that everybody's sort of tuned into. And then I'm sort of always on Twitter, and come across images on the timeline that are interesting. So either I'll like take a picture if I'm watching a game, take my camera and like take a picture of my screen, or usually if it's something that is worth taking a picture of, somebody on Twitter is going to, I guess there's programs where they run the stream of the game and then they snip it and it's like a HD version versus me like taking my picture. There are a few accounts that have that, and then like the no context accounts for the various sports always have interesting images. But I'm not going and like downloading images from any like official sources other than just sort of if they're editorial outlets that have used them from official sources. I'll sort of pull those and credit the the various photographers. So come across a lot of images on the timeline, and then sometimes people will DM pictures, and then a lot of the times they'll just tag the account, and so they'll just show up in my notifications, which is really helpful because I can only watch so much. Like a college football Saturday, like I'll have a game or two that I'm watching, but then there's stuff going on across the spectrum of college football, and then I guess there are a few different things that could happen. I could like know immediately what I want something to be, just from like knowing the image. It could be a theme in art history that I sort of recognize, and then have to find the best version of that. Or then sometimes it's a artist style, or like a period of art style, and then sort of poking through, what might work best. But then, I have I think it's almost up to like 7,500 in one folder, 1,000 or so in a different folder, of just images that I've like personally taken at museums. I used to travel a bunch for work, and wherever I'd go to museums, and especially now that the accounts become bigger, I've really tried to go to a museum and just go like up to each wall and take photos of things that are interesting, and then yeah, it's kind of memorizing those, or each museum tends to have themes and sections, and then understanding where something might fall within that. But it all kind of comes together.
That organizational structure either has to be crazy on point, or you just have to memorize everything that's in there chronologically. Because I can't imagine there's really any other way to do it.
It's a little bit of a mess. Yeah, I work in like sports data and technology, and so I work with a bunch of engineers, and they're always saying, "Oh, we need to pull all these into a database. You need to go in and tag them, and then you can search them." And I'm like, I kind of just do that in my head. I guess it would be nice to. It's a lot of photos that to have to go through and tag. And then
Are you organized by like period, by region?
it's by the folder's organized by when I took it, which in turn is organized by basically museum or location. And then within each museum, it tends to be a little bit organized by, if it's a museum that has art across different time periods, tends to be organized by time period and style, just based on how you're kind of walking through a museum. But yeah.
So, what museum that you've been to either got you the most photos or the most useful photos?
I mean, it's basic with the Louvre. I mean, there's just so many. I want to say I took like 600 photos at just the Louvre alone. The Guggenheim is great if they have a great exhibition, because they have a tiny little permanent collection, and then the whole museum is usually something, and maybe something small up top that's different. And like Kandinsky, for example, when they had him, just tons and tons of his work. And then I can go back 6 months later, and then there's somebody else new. So that's always helpful versus the Met. The Met has some exhibitions, but a handful of museums just don't really turn over, and so you go once and you kind of got everything you need.
So going off of that, then, is there a painting that you have been like waiting to use but haven't found the right moment for yet?
There was one I was holding on to for a long time that I finally got to use. It's just this random Goya of like this these people having a picnic outside, and somebody just throwing up randomly. And I don't even remember who the player was, and there's just a baseball game where somebody threw up, and I was like, yeah.
Looks like a Blue Jays game.
It might be a game, yeah. It
could be a Kansas City game, yeah. It's something.
It was a Royals game, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, thank God, I finally get to use this.
I'll tell you, it's really creative. Like you have a beautiful mind. Like it's really creative how you like are able to see the sports, modern picture and connect it to something that somebody painted in a museum, or it's in a museum somewhere in the last 8,000 pictures you've taken. I find that to be really amazing.
I got to find this tweet. Somebody tweeted yesterday. It's kind of in the lines of what you said, but in a much in a funny way. Let's see. Where is it?
I just love it. I mean, it's just so. Do you have people who like will send you side by side, and they're like they do your work for you?
Oh, here. Somebody wrote, when something / someone is so brilliant, it becomes borderline deranged. So I guess that's
a beautiful mind. There you go.
I am deranged. Yeah, I mean, people will try their own. A lot of the times, it's just like the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, or like the Scream, because I guess those are what people know, right? Which is cool, and a handful of times there'll be like some good ones, but yeah, most of the time it's people sending just the sports images in, and then looking for a comparison.
So one of the things that I really appreciate is some of your use of more abstract art, especially when it's like the other day you had one of Julio Rodriguez, which was him getting like, it looked like he was getting splashed by Gatorade or something like that, or some of these that are like much more simpler works. How do you do what are you sort of trying to compare when you look at, especially when it's not something that's exactly as one for one, like a human form to human form?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wish I could.
He's got a beautiful mind. He's deranged. That's how he does it.
I'm crazy. The Yeah, so like the Julio Rodriguez one was, I don't know, was a little tougher, but like Gerhard Richter tends to have works that are blurred. Like some of his works are real, like actual images and then blurred images. Um, and so I think I just poked around some stuff in the folder, just seeing if there was anything that might come close to that, and it didn't. And I looked through some of Gerhard Richter's works, and that came up. Colors, placements of things. If it's the abstract ones, or sort of things to hone in on. I don't really know. It's sometimes like when I see the sports image, I do have to think: am I going to try to do something more abstract, or am I going to try to do something that is an actual image? And a lot of times, it'll just come from the fact that there's probably just there's no artwork that is going to compare like figures, and so you're going to have to go a layer deeper. So, yeah.
Keep going. I'm sorry. I was saying, like, because of this, like, do you find yourself, like, this is my passion, our podcast and the Badgers, talking about like the football team, and it has made me do more homework and like watch more and read more and do more than I would say I'm used to or accustomed to as like a couch potato fan at this point. Has this become bigger than like you just putting things together and just kind of, not saying you're not enjoying it, I love doing this, but like, is it become a little outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I guess it's less outside the comfort zone and more I just have used it to try to learn as much as possible about art. Like when I started, I didn't know nearly as much as I do now, mostly because when I go to the museums and sort of start, curate the folder for or dump that museum's photos into the folder, I'll go through them and then like I don't. So when I write the tweets, right, it's the name of the painting, the artist, the year, and then the photographer. I don't memorize the name of the painting and the artist and the year. I use Google Lens, right? So I save myself from having to take a photo of the nameplate. But what I'll do is after I go to a museum, I'll go through the images and start trying to figure out like, okay, who are these artists? And then a lot of times I'll just fall into like wormholes, like Wikipedia wormholes, reading about different artists and then seeing, okay, like this kind of looks like this other artist's work. Because they knew each other and, they collaborated, and being able to sort of make those connections also helps with the account, but more just I find interesting. So
has it made you love sports more? Have you been like watching pickleball tournaments and like there's so much sport you could watch in a day. It's like Netflix. I can't watch enough. But like, are you watching other sports to create content, or are you just going about your business and enjoying? Maybe tennis is on. My mom watches Roger Federer a little bit too closely, I think. But like, are you watching other sports? And is there like ping pong is kind of cool? Like, are you watching these sports to try to connect something, or?
Not really. You bring up pickleball. I've been playing pickleball. We just moved, and there's a pickleball courts right by our apartment, which has been a lot of fun. But I kind of just watch what I watch. I've long now, having worked in sports now for a long time, it's sort of just ruined sports in general. I'll just kind of, I don't know, I'll just watch what I like. And when I say watch what I like when it comes to college football, I'll watch like a quarter of Vanderbilt and then give up and go watch an actual game. But yeah, college football Saturdays are my favorite. I'll maybe throw a baseball game on for background noise. Maybe throw like a basketball game on for background noise. But definitely excited for college football season to come back.
Have you found any, like, I don't know, this is probably overly specific, but have you found any, like, oh, like college football lends itself very well to a certain Baroque art movement, or like tennis lends itself to some other like specific? Have you found any sort of connections there that, as maybe
Did
a
you
little
say
bit strange?
Baroque?
Yeah, I've said Baroque.
Dude, Matt Perkins, you're a beautiful mind too. You're deranged also. I feel like you two guys would be peas in a pod, like just watching art and also putting it towards like any sport thing. Matt Perkins doesn't forget anything.
I'm not the art historian. I'm not the art historian, nor will I ever pretend to be.
Dude, if you put 1% of your like knowledge of athletics across the board, you would probably do pretty well. I'm just throwing it out there. This guy remembers every single thing about every sport ever.
There you go. That's all you need.
But yeah, so going back to that though, are there any like movement sports that like have you found have like meshed together a lot more than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, each sport, like tennis, right? You're only pretty much confined to one figure in each image, and so if you're going to do tennis, it's almost certainly going to be like a movement art, like a Degas, right? So like Degas, a decent amount of his work only shows one or two, figures, and they are in movement. But outside of that, tennis, you think like abstract might work a little bit better because you're not really comparing groups of people. Where with something like college football is kind of everything. There's just so many different games going on and different colors and different sort of amounts of people you could have in the frame that it sort of works well across the board.
A lot because it's so covered, like you get so many different angles of college football games. You can get a stadium or one guy alone, whereas like you mentioned with tennis, like it's basically like one or two angles that you're getting.
Yeah, and you can get I guess this is like every sport, but you've got the in-stadium photos, but then also like a TV broadcast sometimes lends itself well to, turning into art. I think my favorite one I think I've done is like Brock Bowers during the national championship game. They had the first down line, or maybe it was the goal line, first down line technology where they like superimposed it on top of him at the angle. And I compared to like a Malevich of an abstract one. And it's like, that's only something you can get from the actual broadcast, right? Because it's not something you can physically see in a game. But there's, so many games and so many different ways to cover it. So
what's your favorite piece of art?
Isn't that like asking for your favorite child?
I have one.
Yeah, because you have one child.
I just like going back to the Met and just seeing, like, I don't know, it feels like you're like kind of seeing old friends, just pieces that have been there forever. I don't know if there's just one in particular. There's definitely certain artists that I prefer. And then when I like going to a museum for the first time and seeing a painting that I've only ever seen online, but then being able to see it in person is pretty cool. So I was at.
Would have to stop you there for 1 second. All right, I went to the Louvre. I saw the what is the real famous one of the person's face?
The Mona Lisa.
First off, I had more fun pushing people out of the way in like the little area they put you in that is literally a fist fight. It was a mosh pit. I've never had more fun. My wife is 5 feet. She hated it. But I loved pushing people out of her way. It's literally mayhem with the cops watching you do it. That to me was beautiful, but underwhelming, like the size. Like I did. So like, have you ever been someplace and you're like, man, this is going to be the coolest piece I've ever seen? And then look and be like, it's like 1 inch big, or it's something like, have you ever gone and seen something and you're like, man, this isn't as beautiful as I thought it would be?
It's like,
now the Mona Lisa is gorgeous.
The Little Mermaid statue in Copenhagen, Denmark.
It's like I'm thinking of the Mona Lisa is like the Jets. It's like you have these expectations, and then
that's so grimy of you right now.
It's
also true.
Like, this is so small and terrible.
And it's a fist fight in the stadium almost every week. It kind of actually sums up your experience as a Jets fan at the stadium.
Yeah, I guess it's something you have to do once, but then it's terrible. It's like so far away too. You can't really get a good look at it. Now I'm forgetting what you had asked.
Is there anything that you've seen that you're like, man, I'm so excited for this, and then you go and see and you're like, nah, it's all right?
It's more just like, I don't know. I consider myself lucky to be able to, go to these different museums and see all these different things that even if it ends up being small or not working for, the account, just the fact that I could like check that box on something is fun. Cause I don't know, like the account and just sort of my fun with it becomes better the more and more that I learn and the more and more that I see. And so even if it's something that doesn't work out, it's something that I can say, okay, like I saw that painting or that sculpture, and it will never work, but now I know.
So what artists have you discovered that you didn't know before you started out this journey?
Like everyone. Well, maybe not this journey, but I took an art history class in college, and that was about it in terms of like professional, if you want to call it that, schooling in art, and the rest is sort of just self-taught. But
I guess, like, have you gone anywhere like recently? You've been like, I did not know about this person, and their art has blown me away.
So the Clint Helmut Clint exhibition at the Guggenheim 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't know any of her work, and probably the best exhibition I've ever seen in person. Just incredible. And then from there, there's sort of other artists that were inspired by her work and kind of grow from there. But that's definitely one that sticks out.
That's fantastic. That is an artist I obviously don't know. Okay, so
her work is wild. I've used it a bunch now in the account as well. But lots of like bright colors, shapes, like abstract, but a little more like psychedelic in a way.
Is there any in your brain like no-nos or like things you steer clear of? Like, do you not use, I don't know, like folklore art? I don't know what, or like you don't want to do sailing because the pirates, like, is there anything that you stay away from?
Yeah, anything that can get me in trouble, I guess. Fun to push the lines. There was, there have been a few times where I'm like, oh, I want to post that really badly, but people are going to get mad. So I try not to, stir the pot's not the right word. I try not to do anything that someone's going to be like, I'm going to call up your boss. And then
that's probably a good line to not cross.
Yeah, I'm going to call up your actual job's boss. And I don't need any of that. So.
No, I don't think any of us do. Actually, that does not sound like very much fun to be on the receiving end of. But speaking of that, so what do you think the future holds, especially with all the changes that Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days is making? Are you moving to more Instagram? Like, how are you evolving? And then what do you see sort of as the future for this?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be on Twitter till it goes up in flames and doesn't exist, even though it's sort of gone up in flames in some capacity already.
Yeah.
I don't know, Instagram's fun, but it's not fun. It's there. And I'll make a post, it'll get comments, but it's not like a conversation, right? It's not an arena where people are hanging out. I post to Threads. That place sucks. All brands and celebrities. Like, I don't even bother looking at it other than just to post there. I guess Blue Sky I post to as well, but super confusing, and I don't know how to use it, and I don't really want to take the time to learn. So I guess it's kind of Twitter or bust at this point. I don't know.
Attention athletes. Do you want a frictionless and tailored financial planning experience to secure your future? Well, look no further. Introducing Oak Bridge Wealth Management, the premier financial planning firm for professional athletes. Led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, our team provides a unique and comprehensive approach, ensuring your financial success both on and off the field. We understand the unique challenges you face as a professional athlete, From managing cash flow habits to planning major business purchases and navigating complex contracts. That's why we've developed a proven process, working closely with our strategic partners to provide seamless solutions for your unique financial journey. Our services evolve with your career, offering short, mid, and long-term goal setting, portfolio optimization, real estate investments, and more. As you transition to life beyond the field, we support you with career development and philanthropic ventures. But don't just take our word for it. Top NFL players like Chase Boulier, Tyler Biadasz, Alec Ingold, and more trust Oak Bridge Wealth Management to guide them towards financial success. Troy Dye of the Minnesota Vikings says, I really love the work that Chris and the rest of the Oak Bridge group do. I especially like the honesty and transparency when it comes to setting up financial goals and plans that best fit my needs and situation. It's time to elevate your financial game plan. Connect with Chris on Instagram at oakbridgewm_Anicete. That's oakbridgewm_ANICETE. And join the winning team. So do you think there would be a way to make this into, like, do you even like you, like Bernie and I, like, we do this as a passion, you know, like he said, and like this clearly is your passion. Do you even like want to like try to like fully monetize it, or do you just kind of want to keep it as a passion project?
My wife's in the background. I feel like she's shaking her head like, yeah, monetize it.
Yeah, I know that. I've heard that conversation once or twice.
It's like it'd be nice if it could pay the bills. I mean, there's like copyright components if it's, you know, making prints and, you know, T-shirts with the images on them. Then, you know, I feel like I don't have quite the inertia to push my, like, once I'm there, I'd be fine. But to get to that point, it's, you know, I don't want to have to. I've talked to players about it, but I don't want it to like actually go down that path. I've been thought about having like a pop-up show in the city would be fun, of just printing out some of the works, maybe not even selling them, but, you know, just having them there, maybe like tickets. I don't know. But
do you ever have any of the athletes that you post say, hey, can you send me that?
Every once in a blue moon. A lot of times it's like the teams, or especially like the social media admins for the various teams that have become fans of the account, which is cool. I've done like some collaborations, like a little bit of stuff behind the scenes, but I don't know. I need to like hire someone that knows how to
that does that, because there's the one with the it must be the girls. The women, playing soccer with they wear red, and then the picture is a statue of an angel. It looks like that's cool.
The one with the women playing soccer in the red. I'm trying to think which one you're talking about.
And one of them's, and then the other picture is a statue.
La Défense by Rodin.
Where is this?
August 15th.
I feel like if I'm that, if I was that person, I'd be like, I want that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think like a lot of the times I'll tag the athletes, and sometimes I'll get like a like on it from them. But I guess I got to find some of get your old photos.
And I'll pay for them.
And then,
you want to talk about your wife being mad? You send me some of those, she'll be real mad. Like the butterbean one of me is not my favorite picture, but it'd be pretty funny to find some blob in art somewhere that looks just like my bald head. When I shaved it that morning on a whim for no reason.
It's like a Botero. You'd recognize if you don't know the artist. Does like festively plump individuals.
I was festively plump in college, so I'd be perfect. I was a perfect canvas, I guess. It'd be really funny if you took one or two, and what you came up with would be hilarious, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think.
Do you ever?
I was just college athletes or athletes in the like more niche sports, I get a little bit more tends to resonate more, just because I don't know if you're the star of the Spanish women's soccer team, you probably don't care about my account. But if you're in a sport that isn't getting a ton of coverage, or you're in college where you only have a handful of thousands of Instagram or Twitter followers outside, like some of these. I think the women's athletes, hundreds of thousands of followers. So it gets there. You go. Exactly.
There it is. There he is.
I need
Wow.
you're hired.
Listen, I can do a Google image search with the best of them. So,
oh man.
So yeah, no, this is this is beautiful. For the audio only audience, you're missing out. Go to the YouTube page. We've got Bernie and what Botero is this that we are looking at?
Matador.
Yeah, Botero Matador of some sort. Maybe we'll throw that up there at some point. But so yeah, we I guess then. We're gonna rack your brain to see if anything comes to mind here on the video feed. We've got a couple different we've got a couple different photographs that are Badger and non-Badger related to see if we can pick your brain or if anything sparks here. So first one, we've got Bucky and the Iowa mascot holding a sign that says Iowa has bad corn.
Nebraska,
sorry.
Yeah.
If you type in Saint Veronica, and then you've got images, right? So she's.
Oh yeah. So okay, so this is sort of like our process. This is sort of like your process, right? You think of an artist oftentimes.
Yeah. So like if I saw that image, right, it reminds me of images of Saint Veronica. So like that theme in art history, and then there's a few. I don't see any that are coming up, but there are a few where she's part of like a larger scene of people because you'd probably want to get the Badger in there as well. So there are a few images. Yeah, like if you type in like probably Saint Veronica painting museum.
So it's a good old Boolean search.
Like so right there to the left. So right there to the left. See the one with Jesus with the cross and Saint Veronica. It's like
this one right here.
Yeah. So if you click in there.
I'm just opening it solo in a new tab.
So then you've maybe got the weasel or the badger.
How dare you?
And so then you'd like crop this. You'd crop this one portion out and just have those two.
Exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah, you can. Then you could even take it and flip it.
Yep.
Take it and flip the image. So that is fantastic. We'll go through a bunch of these.
Okay, cool. So like if you look up Sermon on the Mount, is like a theme in art history.
You'll find one.
So if you go scroll up and then look at that one. Scroll down a little bit. Where'd it go? Maybe the one that says Rosselli.
Rosselli. This one?
I can't. It's a little blurry. I don't know if both hands are out. Or actually look up. Look up Saint Francis of Assisi. Yeah. So there.
Yeah. So you get something like this.
Right. Yeah.
It's so funny.
This is brilliant. This is
right there.
Right there.
Which one?
All right, to the left. Yeah.
Boom. Open.
Oh my God.
So we've got. So we would find out what this is, and then like if you find it just on here, do you often have to like do like a reverse image search then for it?
So yeah, sometimes I'll do that. Like sometimes I'll have taken a photo of that, and it's easier to find it on here and then know like. Or I can just look in my folder based on the museum. But yes, a lot of times what I'm aiming to do is get the highest resolution of that image. And Wikipedia is actually has a really strong image database for art that's part of the public domain. So if you right click and then click or click the little thing on the bottom left, that little of the up a little bit. It's like that to the left or
this one.
Up. It's like on the image itself. There's
here.
box. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, okay. That's the reverse image search.
And then if you scroll down, you might see if Wikipedia has Wikipedia.
Yep.
And then if you visit the site, you can look at the different sizes.
Yep, and then you can find.
And then like the one that's 1445 pixels.
Yeah, 1448. Okay, so this is really interesting. Like your process on this is really interesting to me. I'm gonna send all these over to you when you're done. I'll let you choose from whatever. I'll do the legwork for you on this one. I love Lane Kiffin. I just think Lane Kiffin's a really weird dude, and you're an SEC football fan. I mean, So Lane Kiffin and his dog. Are there a lot of people who paint about dogs?
Not really. It's a lot of like rabid dogs, or like dogs like fighting. In art history, there's not. I think there's actually like a dog museum in New York, like a dog art museum that I need to go to at some point. Not a ton of dog paintings though, unfortunately. But like with something like this, I think you could make it good instead of it being a dog if you had it like as a lion or something, right? If it was something not quite the same, but if you could find an image of booping a lion, then it becomes there's like the.
I don't know if booping is an art history term. That's a new one to me. If it is, our friend Joe Thomas and his wife Annie unveiling the statue at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so I guess if you could crop the middle part, if you type in, like I'm not gonna know how to spell it, like Sassafretto, Sassafretto. There you go.
Sassafretto.
Right. So you've got like the.
And so the Sassafretto is that this?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's the like the shawl overhead.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so then you find a Sassafretto that has.
That's the name of the artist, but it's the theme is like Madonna and prayer, and then you try to probably find one that's a little not white but more like tan or something.
Oh, and so then you're looking for color on like the second one. Okay, I see what you're saying. So sometimes you have to go for theme and then color. I gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go through just a couple more of these quick. Frank Kaminsky versus Kentucky, a beautiful block.
I hate Frank Kaminsky. God, these are tough. These are where, like, if it's a lot of people and movement like this, where I'll like have to go on my phone and start looking through the folder
and start scrolling.
Yeah, because it's not like I don't know. You could look up like.
I'm not going to put you on the spot that hard right now.
But you could. I guess it's also interesting with like the ball. Could be a little abstract. If you type in like Massacre of the Innocents, it could be like a starting point to start seeing, because you've got like figures, but they're not really from like the above point of view.
I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah. But this is something I'd like open up the folder for.
Now we've got Wisconsin doing jump around the entire stadium in red.
So he's the worst, but you could look up like Damien Hirst red.
Oh, yeah. What makes Damien Hirst the worst, by the way? Just curious.
Just like mass produced. Terrible. If you take out the red, it might be or look up like Kusama red infinity room. There are few on my phone that I know like match this or in some capacity, and so there's one I don't have my phone with me. It's over there. Anyways, that I'd probably like pull up and look, but yeah, like I don't know, it's not great, but
it's not great.
Oh, if you go back, you had the one below it.
This one?
Yeah,
or no, this one.
Yeah,
that one.
It looks maybe it could work.
Something like that. So yeah, because I imagine like that would be something either abstract or pointillist. Our friend Lee Evans
like scrolling like on a Surratt or something.
RAT.
Oh, I meant for the last one. Like if you zoomed in on it, it's SEURAT.
There it is.
Wait, no. I don't know.
Okay. So Sriracha, a little bit more pointillist.
Yeah, and if you like found a red piece, like the umbrella there, and like zoomed in, maybe it'll look like it.
Bernie, what are you laughing at?
It literally is like it's not as easy as I think one might think it to be. Well, we're actually doing the process, which is really cool. But
it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to zoom in on that. And so I guess for sake of time, we've got a couple more we could have done, but we've got to do Bernie. We've got it.
I think you nailed it earlier.
You think I got this? You think on my first try I got this?
Yeah, the sideburns kind of look like the face paint. I think maybe we need to Photoshop the hair out of the painting, or Photoshop hair onto the photo.
Also, if you just take the shoulders and up, I mean, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah,
I like cut the shoulders and up. You're pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. I think JJ's kind of funny.
It's like Francis Bacon screaming pulp.
Oh my, sir, sir, like that is a swing and a hit.
It's like type in Julio Gonzalez sculpture. It's like top right. If you scroll up,
that one.
Yeah.
Scream. I love this. I absolutely love this because this is like I feel like we are inside the brain of just something absolutely special. And to me, when I saw this of Lee Evans, it's either like it could be a parting of the Red Sea.
Lee Evans, damn, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Wait, that's the wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the Bills from back in the day.
Oh yeah, I'm a Bills fan.
Nice. It could be the year. Like this, it's not a 1-to-1 by any means, but if you type in El Greco, the disrobing of Christ, it's got like the same colors and idea, but it's like a different. It's different.
I see what you're saying,
though.
It
reminded me of when I first glanced at it.
See, this is so fascinating. This is why you audio listeners really need to be watching the video version of this, because like we are literally inside the mind of someone who is a contemporary genius, a truly a beautiful mind. So
or the deranged, bored deranged college football fan.
Well, it's wonderful because we love college football too, and I just wanted to say thank you for letting us like put you on the spot there a little bit with some of these. I know that can that's a little bit crazy, but your ability to just do this is absolutely mind-blowing. So, and we appreciate you spending so much time with us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That hour went fast. So
yeah, thank you.
Yes,
so cool, man. It's so cool. I love it.
So make sure that you're following Art But Make It Sports on Twitter, most notably, but also on Instagram and Threads. And we will obviously be tagging to the account here on in the show notes. So, and LJ, once again, good luck keeping this going. We are definitely cheering you on, and might have to throw you a photo from time to time if we see something extraordinarily notable. And so until next time, thanks for tuning in to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag and our friends over at Oak Ridge Wealth Management. And until next time, on Wisconsin.
To the VU.
On Wisconsin.